When it comes to R. Kelly's girlfriends, I haven't really watched too many footages about them because the few footages that I have seen just angered me a lot because it kept reminding me of things that have gone wrong in my life, problems in my life, and whatever is going on in my life is just so much worse than whatever they're going through. So I found it hard to watch because I would think about all the cases that I've gone through and it made me feel sorry for myself, and a lot of cases as well also made me feel sorry for like real people, real victims who are actually going through this. But yeah, I have said a lot of bad things, I guess, about the girlfriends, saying that probably a lot of them are money grabbers and trying to just do things for attention. But you know, I need to make it clear that there is a lot of people involved in this case, and every single woman is different, hence would have a different reason for why they've said what they've said. You know, some of them might have done it for money, some of them might have done it out of revenge, out of anger, some of them might have done it for attention, some of it might have done it just to get a bit of fame, some of them might have or want a singing career. But yeah, I've just come across this video now and I feel like I should just talk about it because, you know, I don't think that Azriel is a money grabber. I don't believe that she was with R. Kelly for the money, and I don't think she's turned against him because of the money. But I have noticed that she does seem like a person who's easily manipulated, and when someone is easily manipulated, you know, they can be easily manipulated by anyone. You know, if you can be easily manipulated by one person, then you could easily swing the other way by getting manipulated by other people, by parents, by media, and that's what I feel like has happened in her case.
A jury convicted Kelly this week of 9 charges. Now, 5 of those related to crimes committed against her.
Every case is different, but I feel like in Azriel's case, she has been manipulated. I think she probably was manipulated by R. Kelly. You know, I do think that R. Kelly did have a type of cult where he has like 6 girlfriends, and I guess they do strange stuff and they do weird sex stuff and stuff, but you know, as someone who does massage, I'm around people all the time that have interesting sex fantasies, and I know with one of the donors that I tried with, he told me that he had been to sex parties with his wife. It's like a swingers party where you get to watch your wife bang 5 people. I'm not into that stuff, but at the same time, there are some people that can hear this and be like, oh my god, that's shocking, and oh, anyone who's been forced to do this is obviously just being manipulated by someone. But you know what? You must ask the question, are you not just trying to manipulate other people into thinking this is wrong? You know, I guess it is wrong because you could get sexual diseases from it, but if you're using a condom, then you know what, if you want to have sex with 5 people in the same session, you know, at the end of the day, it's not something you should say is 100% sick, because at the end of the day, if that's what you get enjoyment from, then it should be your choice, and no one should manipulate you into believing that it's wrong. And you know, I feel like this woman is easily manipulated, and I just want to show you an example of this. First thing I want to show is that how she did 2 interviews with this Gayle King woman. In one of the interviews, she was saying lots of positive things about R. Kelly, and in this interview, she got an ugly seat. Now, when she was doing an interview where she was saying negative things about R. Kelly, she got a comfy sofa. You know, if you look at the difference between these 2 interviews, you will see that one interview looks cold and harsh, like the woman is there to challenge her, and in the other interview, the interviewer looks like she's there to sort of to befriend, and she looks like she's welcoming her in, like comforting her. You know, this is part of manipulation. Manipulation is where you say, you know, if you say the things that I want you to say, I'm going to reward you. And it's almost like this interview was set up. She knows that this Azriel girl now is going to back her up, is going to support the interviewer. And so the interviewer said, well, now that she's on my side, now that she's going to say the things that I want her to say, I'm going to give her a nice comfy sofa, I'm going to look very friendly, I'm going to look very positive. You know, I feel like Gayle King might, in the back of her mind, be questioning her own interview with R. Kelly, questioning what she said against him, and thinking, maybe I did do something wrong.
And the fact that she's still afraid because she's worried, she still gets death threats from R. Kelly's supporters. She lives in fear. And, you know, at the time, you know, she said very disparaging things against her family.
And it almost feels like this interview is her way of reassuring her own mind, her own self, that saying, you know, I did do the right thing, turning against R. Kelly, being so harsh against him, you know, challenging him in the way that I did, you know, this was all right. And look, this is evidence that I was right in doing that. I was right in saying what I was saying, because look, now I've got the girl who I've saved, you know, I've saved her, I've taken her away from this abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's why it was important for me to come back here and see you again, because it is okay to change your mind. It is okay to apologize and forgive yourself, more importantly. And that's really what I had to do.
And you know what? My honest opinion on this is actually she looks so much better in that first interview. In this interview, she actually looks kind of cold and harsh, like a businesswoman. And I feel like she's easily manipulated, but I feel like she's easily manipulated by everyone. And right now she's being easily manipulated by the interviewer, who is just trying to prove to herself that the interview she did with R. Kelly was the right thing, when really she was just trying to like pin him and get him in jail, basically. And I did actually watch the video before making this video, and I noticed that Gayle King says this at the end.
R. Kelly, as you know, has long denied allegations of sexual misconduct with the underage girls. I'm happy to say that Azriel is in therapy. You know, she came to the interview alone, which surprised me. I thought somebody would be with her. She came by herself. When she testified, her therapist was with her in another room.
Well, the reason why she came on her own is because you've taken her boyfriend away from her. You know, she has no one. Before, she had someone supporting her. She had someone to financially be there for her. She had someone, you know, to look after her. She had a group of people looking after her. She got to live in a nice home, and well, now she's on her own. She's on her own because of you. Oh, but wait, there's a therapist next door. You know what, to me that just sounds like her having a manipulator next door. A manipulator who gets paid by the hour. Therapists charge, you know. Is this something that you've paid for, or is this something that she's paid for? You know, it makes it sound like, you know, she's gone through something either very, very traumatic, either that, or someone has paid for her therapy so that she can be manipulated through her therapist. I mean, that to me is kind of how it comes off to me. Because you're making out that what she's gone through is so traumatic that you can't even talk about it.
What she's been through, when I say unspeakable things, I won't go there, only just say at one point feces are involved. Take your mind wherever you want to go. It's that graphic.
And you know what? If someone pooing on you is what you're referring to, you know, yeah, that sounds disgusting, but at the same time, it's not like illegal. And my version of a good therapist is someone that just tells you, you know what, this stuff isn't that bad. You know, you need to move on, and if you don't want to do it any longer, then just don't do it. And, you know, don't continuously regret the past, because you're only going to end up self-doubting yourself. You're only going to turn yourself into a victim. You know, there's different types of therapy that you can have, and I'm wondering what kind of therapy she's having, because there are some bad therapists that will just make them feel worse about themselves so that they can make money off of them. You know, they find victims who have gone through something bad, and then they try and convince them that what they've gone through is so much worse than what they've actually been through. And then that person starts wanting more therapy, more money that they have to pay. I'm sure Britney Spears will back me up on this one. You know, she's had hours and hours and hours of therapy, and all they actually do is just go over all the problems in her life, making her feel even worse than she actually did. You know, I don't trust therapists, because I know that some therapists, especially in America, are not actually teaching the right kind of stuff. A good therapist would talk about looking at the positive sides, and all this case does is look at the negative side. So I'm really questioning whether or not the therapists are actual therapists, or if they're just being paid by the government or by lawyers or by the press or the media because they want to exaggerate this story and turn it into something that it isn't. And of course there's the obvious, which is that Gayle King is making money off this interview. Gayle King is going to get lots of hits, lots of viewers. She's getting fame as well after it. I watched one interview where she was saying on this talk show that straight after doing the interview with R. Kelly, Elton John went to go and call her. And she was very excited about the idea of Elton John talking to her. So, you know, it was almost like her doing that interview got her fame, and she benefiting off it, benefiting off someone else's pain, benefiting off the fame and attention that these videos got. Unfortunately for her, Elton John is my angel of rejection. I understand that later she said that this was all a lie because R. Kelly was brainwashing her into saying this.
During the trial, you testified that you said, I was not honest in the interview that you did with us.
Yeah.
What were you not honest about?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything, yes. You know, before that interview, you know, he had us practicing every single day.
But at the time that she was writing this second interview, you know, she was now living with parents, I'm assuming. She had a better relationship with them, hence she was trying to make up to her parents, hence almost trying to apologize to her parents for things that she said, because she was now in a different circumstance and she no longer had the backing and support of R. Kelly because he was in prison and is going to be in prison for 30 years if the sentence is fulfilled. You know, things are different now, but I feel like the circumstances are different, and now she's sort of switched sides. But has she switched sides because she's actually telling the truth, now, or has she switched sides because she's now on a different side and she's just trying to support herself? You know, if she was capable of lying before, then she's just as capable of lying now. If she was manipulated by R. Kelly before, then she's just as capable of being manipulated now by the media and the press. You know, the people that are making this interview, you know, they're making money from it because they're going to sell this interview, and they want people to back them up and support them and say, you know what, you're right. And that's exactly what they got from this girl. But how do we know that they didn't get this confession through manipulation, through therapists in the back room, like she said? And also, I have to say that just before she confesses to lying about everything, she talks about what she didn't like about the past interview, which was that she felt she came off cold.
He came in and he told us to be angry and be upset, and she's gonna try to do this and you gonna.
Oh, he told you that?
Yes, and so we came in angry.
So he told you be angry?
Yes, and I was scared because I was like, I don't want the world to see me this way, you know? I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm compassionate, and
you know what, I didn't think she came off cold, you know? I felt like I've seen lots of stuff about other people and they came off quite cold, but I felt inspired to make this video because I didn't think she came off cold, and hence why I'm making it, because I want to make my point that I don't think all of the girls are money grabbers. I feel like this girl's just very easy to be manipulated. Do you know how the interviewer responds? She responds by saying, yes, you did come off cold, you did come off heartless, and you know, I spoke to your dad and you know, he said all this stuff, you know.
No one got to see that side of me.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because your dad called me after and said, that is not my daughter. That is not who she is. That is not how she speaks. That is not what she believes. During the trial, you testified that you said, I was not honest in the interview that you did with us.
Yeah.
What were you not honest about?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything, yes.
She was saying that her dad was controlling. I think that's right, and that's why her dad was calling her, you know, oh, that's not my daughter, you know, just trying to say anything to stir up the pot, stir up trouble so that he can get his daughter more fame. Or maybe he just wanted his daughter back and so was happy to just say anything. Yes, that's not her, she's been kidnapped, blah, blah, blah. You know, he was obviously desperate. You know, he's making these accusations that his daughter's being held hostage and stuff. And well, you know what, this sounds like something my mum would do. You know, when my sister chose her husband over us during that first month when we realized that there was a problem after the baby was born and there was a lockdown, you know, he refused to let us come into the house, and my mum was convinced that he was like keeping her as a hostage or something. And okay, it kind of was, but I think it was more just that my mum is a very stressful person, and I think there was obviously a lot of stuff going on in the house, and they didn't want the extra stress of having my mum around. Plus, it was during lockdown. George is very tight on rules and stuff. I think the rules were you weren't allowed to visit people's houses.
Welcome back to CBS Mornings. We have more of our exclusive interview with R. Kelly survivor Azriel Clary. Just now, 5 of those related to crimes committed against her, including transporting a minor across state lines to engage in sexual activity.
My parents told me to lie about my age. So when I met him, he thought that I was 18. On top of that, when I was 17, my parents were actually making me, trying to get me to take photos with him, take sexual videos with him, all kinds of stuff.
Wait. Your parents encouraged you to do sexual videos with R. Kelly?
Yes. And they said because if they ever have to blackmail him, what they're trying to do now, they can use it against him, which is exactly what they're doing.
Joycelyn, I see you nodding a lot with what she's saying. Why are you nodding in agreement with what she's saying?
Because everything that she's saying is true. Our parents are basically out here just to get money, and
your parents. You're saying the same as saying.
Well, both of our parents are basically out here. They're trying to get money.
I'm loving. I'm caring. I'm compassionate, and no one got to see that side of me.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because your dad called me after and said, that is not my daughter.
Yeah.
We both have our individual relationships with him, and we all are family all together. We have our moments where we sit and watch movies all together. We go to amusement parks all together.
I'm not talking about Azriel going to movies and sitting watching, going to parks. I'm talking about, is it a three-way sexual relationship?
Sexual?
I'll just give you what I see. Azriel comes off fine, but the interviewer seems like she mostly just wants to dig up dirt. If your dad thinks that this is not you, then your dad doesn't know you. Because every person likes to go to the movies or go to the park, sit and watch TV.
I'm really glad to see you again because I wasn't sure I'd ever get to talk to you again.
I'm very happy to be here and see you again as well.
It feels like a full circle moment to me. When we first met Azriel Clary in March of 2019, she had been living with R. Kelly for almost 5 years and was one of his fiercest supporters.
Because you guys don't know the truth. You guys believe in some facade that our parents are saying. This is all lies for money.
Clary and another woman, Joycelyn Savage, told us then that they were in a relationship with the embattled R&B singer. But Clary left the apartment she shared with Kelly in Chicago 7 months after our interview.
I was lost, and I felt invisible, and you know, I gave someone that control over me.
And now you're doing exactly the same thing, only you're giving the media and this interviewer power over you by kind of just siding with them and just agreeing with them. And you know, I know there was a lot of people involved in this case, and I heard R. Kelly talk about someone saying that someone had been manipulated. I don't actually know who he's talking about, but the images of that keep coming into my head, and I'm wondering if he's talking about you, because you seem very easily manipulated. And I do remember him saying something about someone being manipulated by officers, and I do think you're very easily manipulated. You know, it's easy to turn someone into a victim by making them believe that what they have done with someone else in the past is wrong. But if someone's easily manipulated, you know, you can easily manipulate them into believing it's wrong, even though it might not actually be wrong. But if they're going to be making money from lawyers, from cases, from, you know, being the one who saves you, you know, I think people are looking at this in the wrong way. I understand what Gail is saying. You know, it feels inappropriate for an 18, 19, 20-year-old to be getting with a 52-year-old. You know, I get that. I don't really agree with that kind of relationship either.
In an interview you'll see only on CBS this morning, the two women told us there is nothing inappropriate about their arrangement with the 52-year-old singer. What is your relationship, both of you, with R. Kelly?
We're with him. That's our relationship.
We're with him. Yeah, that's what it is.
And we're in a relationship with him.
Right.
You just said it.
A very strong relationship as well.
Both of you?
Yes, most definitely.
I don't really agree with that kind of relationship either. But I also know that the Playboy Bunny guy did it every single day, and he was loved and admired for it. So why does Hugh Hefner get to do it and yet R. Kelly doesn't? This to me feels more like the media are just trying to make money out of this story. They found some sort of vulnerable girl who's easily manipulated.
To basically make me do whatever it was that they wanted me to do and act however they wanted me to act.
Yes, and they think, you know, if we manipulate her into believing that this is all wrong, then we've got a massive case against R. Kelly and we can just use him as some sort of pawn to make money off of, whilst not caring that we're actually about to lock him up for 31 years just for having a sort of inappropriate relationship. Mohammed, though, dates a 6-year-old. Now that is very inappropriate and very wrong, and yet there's still plenty of Muslims willing to worship his book. A few hundred years ago, it was perfectly normal to betroth 15-year-olds and get married to them. That was just normal. Okay, it's very inappropriate and I don't agree with it, and I don't think it would have been right for the girls, but at the same time, part of what makes it so wrong is people telling them that what they're doing is wrong, people making them feel bad about what they're doing, people making them feel, you know, shit about themselves because of, you know, lots of people saying that they're doing something wrong, and that actually causes more emotional trauma on a person.
Were you afraid when you were sitting there talking to us?
I was. He did his interview first.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
He came in and he told us to be angry and be upset, and she's gonna try to do this and you gonna...
Oh, he told you that?
Yes.
So clearly they warned him that they're going to sort of antagonize him a bit, and this obviously scared the shit out of him. He's obviously been thinking about this a hell of a lot. It's probably been going over his mind over and over again, and he's, you know, got these girls to be aware that, you know, they're going to be grilled a bit, and, you know, he's preparing, and he really wanted to do well in this interview, and, you know, he did absolutely awfully.
You know, he had us practicing every single day.
Practicing what?
Answering questions. And if he didn't like our answer, he would tell us exactly what to say and how to say it. So anytime you mention anything,
Azriel,
yeah.
I'm stunned by this.
Yeah.
So anytime you mention...
Anytime you mention anything about sexual preference, we already know to say, I'm not here to talk about that. Because that's what he told us to say every single time.
And that's exactly what you said.
First of all, I'm not here to talk about my personal life, and I would never share with no one what I do in or outside of the bedroom.
You do know that's what most people would say. I mean, most people don't talk about what they do in bed. It's not something you really go to the press about. This isn't abnormal. This isn't something that, you know, you're forced to say. This is something that most people would want to not reveal because they don't want to expose this kind of stuff. You know, if people do start sharing videos or sharing pictures of things that they've done in bed, you know, with other people who haven't agreed to have this sort of information shared. Do you know people sue each other for revealing information such as this?
So when the interview was over and you all go back to his apartment, the three of you, what is the conversation?
He was so happy.
He was happy?
He was so happy. He was like, you guys did amazing. You know, you did so well. You carried yourself so well. I believe he even, like, got food and wanted to celebrate. That's how happy he was.
I think the girls did quite well, but then again, the girls' lives weren't at risk of being put in prison for 30 years, so they were in a very different situation to him. And I think afterwards he tried to deny how bad his interview went and sort of told them that, yeah, it was fine, but I think in the back of his mind he knew it hadn't gone well, but he was trying to stay positive. It's horrible to feel like hundreds of people are attacking you.
Truthfully, I think he believed that he had done well. He felt like he had really made a great reflection of himself and where he was in life and how all these women were lying on him and how all these people were just...
I don't believe that that's how R. Kelly felt. He might have said that to try and, like, not be negative, but yeah, I don't think he was that ignorant to realise that it didn't go well. And I think he might have been quite gullible to believe it if he did say it went well. But I think you believing that he did generally think that it went well kind of proves that you can't quite see the truth.
Everything that we were living in had become very normal. And I had to break out of that. I had to realize that this is actually abnormal.
Yeah, the dysfunction was so prevalent that after a while it did feel normal to you?
It did, because it was not only me, it was other women who were older than me. You know, when I met him at 17, he had 4 other women. And so these women are all normalizing his actions, and then you have assistants normalizing his actions, and you have workers and security and everyone else that normalizes it. So me being very young at that time, I just learned to normalize it.
And yeah, if they were all normalizing everything and, you know, as soon as you came out of that relationship, everyone started unnormalizing it, you know, and constantly calling you a survivor and stuff, how do you know that the people that are making it sound wrong, you know, how do you know that they're not just manipulating you to believe that it was all wrong when really maybe it was more normal than they might make it out? You have to remember, you know, these people were not in the relationship, hence they can't say what actually happened. You know, I'm noticing there's a constant theme throughout this interview where the interviewer or the speaker over the top, you know, speaks for the girl, saying, you know, you said
this is actually abnormal.
Yeah, the dysfunction was so prevalent that after a while it did feel normal to you?
I mean, how do you know it was dysfunctional? Sometimes you can't know if something's functional or not unless you're there and actually see it. You know, every time I hear this word, R. Kelly survivor, you know, I just want to think that, well, I'm a McDonald's survivor. Don't I get credit for that? You know, she was in a relationship with him for 5 years. A lot of relationships don't last a month. So obviously something was going right. My family is the most dysfunctional family ever, but they've still managed to keep themselves together for such a long time. So obviously something is working. And I think the main reason why this girl is not still with R. Kelly is because of all the dysfunction that the media have caused towards this relationship by trying to separate the group.
What do you think anybody could have said or done to help you leave the situation sooner?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. I feel like that is something that I would have had to have woken up from myself, something that I would have had to realize on myself. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize with victims, the more you try to help them, the more it upsets them sometimes.
I kind of feel a bit sorry for this girl because I feel like she's being so manipulated by the public, by the people, by the girls, by, you know, people's minds changing and the publicity and stuff, that she herself does not realize that she actually hasn't left R. Kelly of her own choice, but rather she's left because of all the sort of the media gossip about her, and you know, all the people saying, oh, you're a victim, you know, oh, and you know, feeling sorry and sympathy for her. And
I feel like that is something that I would have had to had woken up from myself, something that I would have had to realize on myself. And you know, a lot of people don't realize with victims, the more you try to help them, the more it upsets them sometimes.
You know, I think he was a bit controlling towards her, but I think she's also the type of person that kind of wants to be controlled.
And I'm wondering what it was like for you sitting there, looking at him while you're testifying about what your life had been like with him.
I don't know, a piece of me was happy because I felt like...
Happy?
Yeah, because I felt like this person no longer has control over me, you know? You don't tell me what to do and what to wear and where to go and how long to be in a room anymore, so...
Maybe I'm seeing something different to what she's thinking, but I feel like she's almost crying because secretly she kind of liked it. You know, there's this motto, you should live to serve, and part of being happy comes from serving others and helping others. You know, I feel like she's a really nice person who actually takes enjoyment and pleasure from helping others. And well, if like a guy's kind of controlling, sometimes, you know, you feel like you're helping that person by doing it. You know, I don't know if that's what you see, but that's kind of what I see. Okay, I'm going to stop it here because I'm getting bored now, but you get what I'm saying.